I had spent a lot of time on the road over the last 2 years, putting myself in situations where I'd be forced to learn about who I am and what I'm capable of. Situations that was sometimes magical and sometimes dangerous. All for an unknown reason other than the desire to make the most out of the life that I've been given. And yet no matter how far I went, and no matter how much I endured, there was always one problem that eluded me. One problem I could never seem to solve. And that was accomplishing the task of making a decent brew on the road.
This one was completely my fault.
Recently, I've been sat at home preparing for my next big trip. And like every trip before this was going to be my biggest adventure yet. However, because I was going to be spending more time on the road, I wanted to make sure that I had a few, home comforts with me. And one of the things that I'd missed the most on my last trip was having a good cup of coffee for breakfast. And because of this, I was determined to find the best way to make a cup of coffee whilst moto touring. And so, ladies and gentlemen, several hundreds of pounds later, one 30-day return policy guarantee, and the intention of upsetting a few companies like the mischievous demon that I am, I managed to find 6 methods to make coffee on the road. And well, here's my very mean but honest opinion of each. And of course you can't make a brew without water, so let's go fill up our bucket. Now if you're new to motor touring, the best piece of advice I can give you is to purchase a foldable bucket. Being able to keep a bucket of water next to your tent means you don't have to leave your gear unattended or even lug it back and forth to get taps of water throughout the night. It also lets you pick a quieter spot at the campsite. On top of that, it gives you enough water for hot water bottles, you can even wash your tin and bowl after, and it's also a portable washing machine. And when you do eventually nip to the shops to buy the supplies that you do need, it also doubles up as a handy carrier bag. But for now, I'm just going to use it to hold water. Now, no matter which method of coffee you want to use on the road, you always need to start with hot water. There's a million different ways to boil water, it doesn't really matter how you do it. Whatever works for you, works. I personally use a portable kettle, just because I buy pre-packed food, which is boil in the bag, and that works for me. However, if you use a stovetop or if you use an open fire, it's all good. So the first method we're testing out today is the method that I've been using for the last 2 years, which is the military grade coffee I've been buying in bulk. This is basically the baseline for all of the other methods to test against. It's incredibly cheap, it's easy to make, but I'm going to be honest folks, it tastes like somebody cremated a brick. However, I'll be honest folks, because it's the only coffee I ever drink whilst travelling, I do associate the taste with some really happy memories. And it's not the worst taste in the world, it's just incredibly cheap coffee. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but this coffee tastes like nostalgia, and so on the Sprocket rating score, this ranks high in terms of both the price and the ease of use. But taste-wise, it's cheap instant coffee, and you get what you pay for. Method number 2, coffee bags. I actually first saw these in the supermarket and I was really intrigued as to how well they worked. Now, I'm going to be honest, my first impressions were not great. I love coffee, and so the idea of leaving a bag of coffee grinds in a cup to brew, I knew it was going to end in that disgusting, burnt, over-caffeinated taste. Or worse, a split tea bag. I completely underestimated this product. It was freaking delicious. And for an instant coffee alternative, it is remarkable. It has all of the ease of instant coffee without any of the disgusting taste. My only criticism of this method is that the company did print plastic over the foil bags, which means that you can't recycle the wrappers. So if you are traveling on the road, you are going to end up with a little bit of extra waste to carry around until you find a bin. However, for traveling, this is something I absolutely would buy. The next method I found was something I'd never come across before: portable pre-packed French press coffee. Now this coffee set me back £8 on Amazon, and you get free pre-loaded French press brews ready to go. This caught my attention because I thought this is a great product for a bike rally or a festival across a weekend, and it'd be the kind of thing you'd be able to share with friends. However, needless to say, it tasted foul. I don't know what on earth happened, but my military coffee tasted better than this. I really love the packaging, and if the company sold the packages empty and gave you the ability to use your own grinds, I'd honestly consider it. However, at the moment, it's just a fantastically designed product filled with the kind of grinds you'd only feed to your neighbour after he erected a fence to try and steal half your yard. And so it's not the kind of thing I'd purchase again. On to method 4, portable pour-over coffee. Now this was one of the most expensive methods I purchased out of the entire batch, and it consists of a drip-through pour-over that filters directly into your cup. Now this is also the most inconvenient method because not only do you have to carry around a giant chunk of metal that could easily be broken in your luggage, but you also need to carry filter papers and also the coffee grinds. Filter papers are a huge risk for wet weather because no matter how hard you try, anything paper in your bags inevitably gets damaged. And on top of that, you also need to carry around either a bag of grinds or, if you're like me and got really bored on Amazon, beans and a grinder, which also takes forever. This method was amazing and the coffee it put out was just incredible. However, it was so extremely time consuming and it takes up so much space that it's unlikely I'd ever use this for motorcycle touring. However, if I did own like a race van that I could throw a bike in the back, it would absolutely be something I kept stock in the kitchenette. Now, method number 5 is a portable espresso machine. This product piqued my curiosity because I recently switched from a bean to cup to an espresso machine at home. I love the idea of being able to go in the drawer and grab a few pods and just throw them in a rucksack and, well, hit the road with very little organisation. I knew the pods were tasty and so I thought that this product would be a winner. However, to say that this thing was complicated would be an understatement. Even after reading the instructions, it was still really confusing and I did manage to burn my hand twice. I eventually got it loaded and after many attempts, I did manage to extract some espresso. However, I have no idea how this gadget managed to do this, but it took the pods that I know and love and it made it taste like an angry jellyfish. Determined not to give up, I decided to try again, and again, and then again. Eventually I realised that the machine just wasn't piercing the metal pods at all, and so the grinds was just soaking up a little bit of water at the base of the pods and then spitting out the water. Overall, this product was a bit of a flop, which was really annoying because it was the most expensive one on the list. However, I'll most likely give it another try with paper pods at a later date. Finally, the last method is instant coffee, but a decent brand, because sometimes folks, you just can't reinvent the wheel. And And there we go, folks. This is not the conclusion that I was expecting. However, the clear winner was the coffee bags. It tasted amazing and it had all the convenience of instant coffee. However, if I was going to consider a runner-up, it would definitely be the pour over for taste. But I'm just not convinced that I can be bothered with all of the faff that comes along with it. So until next week, stay safe, ride crazy. My name's Saffy Sprocket, signing off.
This one was completely my fault.